and welcome everybody to the 2023 Phoenix Media Day. And today I've got Charles Scott with Pelleton Capital. Charles, thanks for joining us.
Hey, happy to be here.
We've gotten to know each other a bit over the course of the last few months, and I love your business model.
Well, thank you.
And I've told you that a lot in person. Now I'm telling you that and making sure that we get a chance to share it.
Pressure's on.
No pressure. No pressure. Actually, it's pretty easy when you think about how you handle it. Let's start with the top. Pelleton Capital. What's the idea in Pelleton? How's that come into your approach?
The Pelleton, it came from the Tour de France, because the pack that rides with every team's got a key guy, and then the pack is the Pelleton.
Right.
I watched this years and years and years ago. I liked it. The word sounded neat. Their idea is to help the key man, their star, get to the finish line first. That's the cause. That's the cause they have, and
right.
they do and from a financial planning point of view, that's kind of like the clients are what we're trying to get to the finish line.
And it's a teamwork. It's a teamwork approach off of that, right? I mean, people give and sometimes decrease to allow someone else to increase to carry the workload at the right time. Yeah.
Yes. Our contention is, we know what we know and we know what we don't know, and the stuff we don't know, we know people that know it.
So let's break it down. What is your business? What is the business you guys tackle?
We have a registered investment advisory and financial planning firm. I've been a financial planner and advisor for more than 30 years. Our focus now is working with in the senior marketplace a lot, as there's part of that generation of the baby boomers and all of the things that they're now experiencing and their families are experiencing. And it's just doing good, comprehensive financial planning that makes sense for them and it solves problems.
And your market your home market here is in Arizona. Are you in any other markets?
We have clients in other states.
Yeah.
Where we can do business basically anywhere.
Okay.
So it's just where's the need and who's got somebody that we can help.
And okay. So, and you say let's highlight that. You are one of those really well-placed husband and wife teams that kind of get that great balance, right?
She's the better half and I have yes. We have different skill sets, and that's what makes it interesting, because we can interview the same people. I hear things that she doesn't hear and she hears things that I don't hear. And then we have a conversation about what did you hear and what did I hear, and we get a much clearer picture of who everybody really is and what we can do.
And in addition to her maybe having you have a finance side, she can see that insurance side, but more specifically, she has that experience of where the rubber meets the road, in that just day-to-day slog for family members that are getting through this, right?
Yes, it's her name's Sherry Nordstrom Scott. She worked for Nordstrom for 27 years. Customer service is in her blood. Yeah. And she's client concierge. And what she does is all the stuff that's basically not securities related financial stuff, and which is a lot of stuff, especially when it comes to the whole family dynamic of what do they need? How can we help them? What resources do we have? Well,
and a lot of times being able to tap, I think what you do requires a lot of really tough conversations with family members, especially if you're if you're an adult child, and into our audience, and you have to help mom and dad through this. And there's some stuff you might be working through where having that third party that can very quickly understand the dynamics and kind of help out. That's got to help.
If we've been there and seen it, then we have that experience to be able to say, okay, here's a couple of ways you might be able to go. That this might be a good idea. This might be a better idea.
Yeah.
What do you think makes sense to you? We've seen a lot.
I really love the humbling way you just said that, and that was if we've seen that experience. Or we have a saying: if you've seen one parent project, you've seen one parent project, because everybody's so dynamic. But there's a lot you can relate to, but a lot of best we can do is provide that advice into families for them to pick up and kind of run with. And it sounds like it's just really embedded into how you do business.
Yeah. How can we help?
Yeah.
How can we help? It's not our agenda; it's their agenda. How can we help them?
Yeah. So talk to me with your services you're doing. What's the process generally look like when somebody wants to engage you guys? How does somebody come in?
Well, they have a question, they have an issue, they have a concern. There's something that they want to find out more about, and then it's just up to us to talk through and figure out what is that actually that's the key that they're really looking for. If it's got to do with parents that are getting older and there's things they're concerned about, then that's a pretty easy, they're probably fairly focused on what's going on and how can we then help solve the issues that they may not know how to actually solve.
Sure.
A lot of it from our perspective then ends up being financial. And what's the most cost-effective, efficient way to get around and get things done that make the most sense for the the parents and the whole family.
Yeah. Well, so since that's a really wide dynamic with the whole family and everybody involved, is it easiest for them to come and begin in talking with you with a high-level overview and then let you pull out the details you think they need, or are there certain details that you think they should be prepared to just come talk with us about up front?
It's going to depend on how ready they are to talk about this. Are they, have they really done? I would say, have they done their
They
homework?
being mom and dad,
Well,
or
the
the
parents
family in
or
general?
the family in
Okay.
general. Have they done their homework? Have they, we're going to ask them very specific questions. We'd like numbers.
Yeah.
That's a lot of what this has to
Sure,
do with.
sure. Right, right.
And,
yeah.
And so we need to know what some of the things are, what some of the assets, what are the resources they may have, what are the things they're looking to accomplish.
Yeah.
And how do we make those parts fit?
Yeah.
Is the easiest way to put it, I
What's
think.
a top question that they typically have, whether it's the right question or not? I mean, what do you hear most often when they come in the door?
They've heard about long-term care. They're not necessarily sure what it is. They don't know how to pay for it. And that's the question. How do we pay for it? What's the most effective way, cost-effective, efficient way to pay for it?
Yeah.
And there's a lot of solutions that are now out there. It's a much more creative space than it used to be.
Yeah.
It's evolved tremendously in the last couple of decades.
Yeah.
And that's great because there's a lot of better things you can pick from now than there were before.
So in knowing that there is so many options that come to that, and it can widely vary in what that is it helpful if they have at least narrowed down, if they don't know exactly where they might want to go into so they can figure out costs, that they've at least narrowed down a particular category or something? Is there something there that could be more helpful than not?
It's totally dependent on the family itself. Have they really done their homework? Have they been putting it off? Have they been kicking the can down the road because they don't want to deal with it?
Okay.
Same thing for the parents. I mean, have they been doing that?
Okay.
If they have, if they've looked and they want to know, is there a better solution? Different services charge different prices, and it's just what fits. What do you have? What do you have to work with from an asset perspective, first of all? And then what do you want? How much care are you going to need? It's really driven by, I think, by the care component of this.
Yeah.
How much are they going to need?
Yeah.
How long, we never know. But can we make it last? Can we make the money last as long as possible? Given the probability of what's going to occur. And can we also then find a way to take that dollar that they may be allocating for care, and can we leverage that and turn that into $2 or $3 of care if they need it?
Right.
And there's new things out there, solutions in the marketplace that if they don't need it ever, then the asset still is owned by the family and by the parents, and it passes on to the beneficiary. It's long-term care insurance. So it's an insurance product.
Yeah. Yeah. One of the things that I talk with families about, and so, if you haven't seen one of our other episodes, go on and definitely check up when we start talking about thinking through those conversations of care. Today, a single healthcare incident can wipe out significant amounts of retirement capital and what you had set aside. Yeah. And for the average family, could get wiped out if something comes through. So, when people, I love it when families, and we always encourage families to come speak with financial experts who understand that and understand both concepts of the insurance and the financial, because once you've done that, I think it really unlocks the keys to knowing what conversation to have next with mom and dad when it's going to impact your finances, and it's going to pull out all the brothers and sisters, because it doesn't become that uncertainty of if money could run out. You get a little better certainty of, okay, let's just move past and accept, let's say that it is going to run out. How would we start to figure that out? What would the next day look like, or where would we go?
Yeah, and is there a way that we can head that off before it happens?
Yeah.
Or, if we don't talk about it, then we'll never know. If we do talk about it, we'll have some more information at their disposal.
Now, when you're working with families, with mom and dad off of that, is it normal, or do the younger family members does it help them start getting their ducks in a row? Or do you find that really everybody kind of puts us back in a corner?
Well, it's not fun to talk about the inevitability of you're not going to be here forever.
Yeah.
And how do we, those things that are going to happen. And it's a really important conversation that's really difficult to have.
Yeah.
If you've had the experience somewhere, or someone that or another family member somewhere has had it, it's a lot easier and it's a lot simpler to get everything started down that path, because it's just talking about it in the beginning and then working out some solutions. What are the choices that they would have? It's all about choice. If you have no choice, you're stuck. If you have choices because you've planned ahead of time, then you do have choices, and that's important.
Excellent. Last question. How do people find you? How, if they're interested in Pelleton Capital and how you do business just really resonates with them?
Well, it's PelletonCapital.com. That's
Okay.
us online. We're on LinkedIn under Charles Scott, the Don't Go Broken, a nursing home advisor. Our phone number.
That's a good one.
Yeah, well, hey, that's potentially the reality
Right.
of this.
Right. Yeah.
The phone number is 480-513-1830. We're here in Scottsdale.
Great.
You can reach me at Charles at Pelleton Capital.
And you've got a podcast as well.
We have a podcast. It's on Financial Choices Matter. It's on Spotify, Apple, all the places that I don't know what they are, but they're out there.
That's brilliant. Well, hey, Charles Scott, Pelleton Capital, it was a pleasure having you in here today. Good luck to you guys and your business, and
Tony,
thanks for
thank you.
sharing.
Oh, no, our pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Awesome to see you. Thanks. And that's going to do it from here. Stay tuned for us. And we've got more great businesses that are coming up to help you here at our 2023 Phoenix Media Day event.